We're going to visit old time Hollywood. We're going to sing Hooray for Hollywood. Yeah, we're going to have a good time. Those are the only lyrics that I actually know for the song, and I will stop my singing. Listen, this is Mark Allen Cooks. We've got a great guest, George Geary, and he's a chef, an author, a historian, a food historian, all around nice guy. And we're going to find out more about George just a couple of moments as we make a dish from one of the old time Hollywood favorite restaurants, right there in Hollywood, of course, or there. I don't know. We'll find out. And welcome to Mark Allen Cooks. I am Mark Allen. We enjoy our show, doing our show and presenting it every week with different things. Last week we made a key lime pie with Tom Martin, and it was so good that Carol and I finished almost half the pie between the two of us. That was a 10-inch pie. So we're going to probably do the same thing today, not with the pie, but we're going to be making a famous dish, one of the signature dishes from a restaurant in Hollywood, and we'll find out more about that as we bring in George Geary right now. George, we go all the way to Temecula, California, and what I know about Temecula is I think there's a casino, and they make a lot of wine down there, and they use steel casks rather than oak. Anyway, George, welcome to Mark Allen.
Well, I'm not as far down as Temecula. I'm a little north of there, but you're absolutely right. I don't think they have any oak there at all because those wineries are more in the new years.
Right. I miss.
Yeah.
I know this is. I miss the oaky Chardonnays.
Hmm.
I do. Um, I love the taste. I love the nose. It was great, and they're a lot milder today. But
Yeah, you have to go to Lodi, California. They still have a lot of old oak barrels there.
got it, got it. Well, we're going to start our show with a toast to new friends,
Oh, there we
and
go. Where am I? There
so
I am.
there you are. And we'll say to health because I think that's the most important thing, right?
There you go. Yes, it is.
Hmm. All right. Um, we're going to make first. Let's bring up George's book because this is just it is such a great book. And I was actually born in Hollywood and had relatives in Hollywood. I would go to my Aunt Till's house, and the name of the book is LA's Legendary Restaurants. It is fabulous and brought back so many memories. And as we cook today, we will talk some about that. But I have to tell you, George, about um,
Gary Allen.
Gary Allen. Hello, Gary Allen.
Looking good, Mark.
Looking good. Thank you, Gary. Where are you based, Gary? Let me know. Um, I have to tell you, my aunt lived in this apartment building, and a lot of the Munchkins from The Wizard of Oz lived in her building. And I must have been,
Mm.
I don't know, 8 or 9 years old, and I was taller than them, and I couldn't understand it until I saw the movie. Right? Then I got it. Um, George, how did you? We're going to start cooking in just a second, but how did you get into food? What was your?
Oh, my grandfather was an executive chef and he opened up places in Las Vegas. He did the Flamingo and the old places with Bugsy. And I really didn't know him. So when people think that it's in your blood, I guess it is. I just thought I wanted to do something artistic. My dad was a accountant, a CPA, and I saw him behind a desk all the time. And I really didn't see him from January until the 15th of April every year. And I didn't want to do that. And so instead, I thought I would go to culinary school. My dad, he kind of said, why don't you go to, you could be a lawyer. You're smart enough. And I go, you're right. That's why I don't want to do it. Uh, and with being in the culinary industry, I've done so much that you wouldn't think is the culinary industry. I tell schools when I talk to kids, I was like, you could be a food photographer. You can do all sorts of different things with food that you don't realize you could do until you think, oh, you're a chef and that's all you do. So that's kind of how it started. I just went to culinary school and then
And
started
the
taking a
rest
lot
is
more expert
history.
classes.
The
Yeah,
rest is
and
history because you do a lot with food history, such
yeah,
as this book.
yeah.
Let the and you've got another book out. We have that back here, made in California. Burger joints, fast food, uh, diners. I mean, this it's just the memories
Hmm.
that
Yeah.
you have elicited in my brain. Um,
In fact, the book with the brown derby on the cover, I have a secondary book that's I call that one a sequel because it's not part two; it's just a sequel, and it's called L.A. Landmark Restaurants, and it has another 50 restaurants from Los Angeles area.
ooh, I
And I
can't.
went into the valley with that second book
You did.
because yeah, and Jewish delis and Mexican restaurants. Those three things people were picking on me. But they said, you didn't put the smokehouse in. And I, oh, shoot. You only can, even today, I have people coming up. I had the other day in Pasadena, somebody coming up saying, you didn't put so and so in the book. And I said, I can't put everything.
Every
It would be so big. And I needed to put things that people in Iowa will know. They know the Brown Derby, and I feel it's because of the old I Love Lucy show when they went there in when they were in Hollywood. So that's kind of why I have to pick and choose the places.
well, I've already started melting some butter. Okay,
Oh, good. We
and
love butter.
we love butter. And I have on my plate right here the recipe calls for breast, and I like thighs. So I'm the holdout here. So I changed this. We're going to do a chicken breast, which I'm going to put in the flour right now.
You
And
see, the original, they took a broiler chicken, one, and cut it into six parts when they did this at the Brown Derby. And it was the Sunday dinner special, this recipe. But today, we normally don't buy a broiler chicken. I think during COVID was the only time they were selling broiler chickens because
well,
nobody knew what
yeah,
to do with them.
right. It's and I've dredged this in the flour, and we'll have the recipe up on our website, YouTube channel in the next day or two. So what I've done is I've dredged this in flour, a little bit of salt and pepper, and
Hmm.
we're melting some butter. Now they used. It's interesting. They used butter instead of what a lot of people today would use would be olive oil, right?
Yeah, they're getting. If you look at when I was working on these two, I call them Hollywood books, the restaurant books. There are a lot of ingredients that we don't use today, or we've never heard of. They use liquid smoke a lot. They used
Oh,
MSG. MSG was another one that they used. The and we're going to talk a little bit later on. There's celery salt that they use a lot, and we just don't use that. It's just an ingredient that we just don't have readily available, but it would be in every kitchen back in the day. They use a lot more heavy cream. I mean, looking at the recipes from the Brown Derby, the fattening and the fat content, and they would have everything from dessert to three martinis to start with, and you think, how did they get up and start and film the next morning
I,
on the set?
I can understand that. So I'm going to take the butter is melted. I'm going to put the chicken into the butter. And George, you tell me what I'm doing right or wrong.
Oh no, yeah, you're doing fine. Yeah, you're kind of browning it a little bit on both sides. It You'll get both sides brown on, and you'll or one side, then you'll turn them over.
Yes.
And I do this with chicken thighs and same as you with breast also. I've never done it with a broiler chicken because I didn't want to have to cut it all up. So I kind
Yeah.
of
Yeah. Cutting
cheat
up a chicken
myself.
is it's hard. Every now and then I'll go into um, Chinatown, L.A.,
Mm,
and I'll buy a duck, a pre-made duck, and ask them to cut it. And they don't cut it they just hack it into right. And
yeah.
if I'm going to cut a roasted chicken up, then I would just hack it because I like to eat, but I anyway. So we're gonna let that cook for
I'm with you.
a minute, and you'll let me know when to flip it.
I hope so. I can't see it though.
Oh yeah, there you
Oh,
can.
there we go.
There you go. Um, and there are pictures of uh, Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz in the book. It's just
That that is a rare picture, I think, because I've never seen it. When we were looking at different pictures, and you can see the table had a little brown derby sitting on it, and that was a little thingamajigger. What and Mr. Cobb was one of them that started the brown derby, and I was just reading. He said it's his fault, and this he said this in 1955 because the brown derby opened in the 20s. He said it's my fault that I put telephones on long extension cords for the stars to get the phone calls. And could you imagine today? We don't have phone calls in because everyone has their own phone. But the Brown Derby, originally the very first location there on Wilshire that looks like a derby, people thought it was a man's hat or a clothing store
right.
when people would drive by. They didn't think it was a restaurant until it started getting well known. It was
Was
across from the old Ambassador Hotel.
well, the Ambassador Hotel I know
Yeah.
because my high school reunion was there. Our
Ah,
prom, our prom was there.
oh,
And
your prom was there. My prom, yeah.
your prom what?
Oh, my prom was at the brand new Bonaventure Hotel
Oh my
in
goodness.
Los Angeles. So,
Got
yep,
it.
it had just opened. But while you're making browning that, I've got some really cool old
Oh,
menus. This one's from 1942, and because you've got the war effort
right.
and meatless, they started meatless Mondays back then, and what I love about this menu is it has all the characters uh, from the uh, the walls. In fact, if you ever get to Rolling Hills, the original Red Onion, the owner up there, he has one whole wall in his uh, dining room that is all old brown derby pictures that he bought at an auction when they were tearing it down,
Oh my.
which is kind of
Which
interesting.
was a shame.
Yeah,
What a shame that they did. I don't know
yeah.
that I browned it that well on this side, but it is browning on the other side.
Oh,
I,
that's good.
I have onions from Melissa's.
Oh, yeah, my favorite, Melissa's.
Yeah,
The thing is with Melissa's, I'm out. Yeah, I say out in the country because it used to take 20 minutes to get to a Starbucks. Now it's like 5 seconds.
got
But
it.
when I first moved here, my grocery store had a whole huge display of Melissa's produce that was off the beaten path produce, but I knew what it was, and it would sit there because no one knew how to use it. I wanted to go sit there and do a cooking demonstration right there for Melissa's because I just love their produce and their citrus is something else, stuff
Oh,
you
it
don't
is.
find
It
anywhere
is.
else.
Um, you have done this. You did do an exhibit, a a demonstration a few years ago at Melissa's to
Yeah.
the press,
hmm
right?
Yeah. Right before COVID. Yeah,
Right
when we were
before
meeting
COVID. Yeah,
there. Yeah.
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 Well, Robert Trula, if you're watching, we both love you. So, uh,
In fact, what's really strange is I worked for Driscoll Berries for years. I was their corporate chef, and I was at the PMA show, which is the produce something or other show. And this guy comes up to me and he says, "Okay, this is very strange, but did you go to Crenshaw Elementary?" And I said, "Yeah." Well, he went also, and I knew his sister, and he works at Melissa's. Uh, Tom Fraker, he works in the kitchen there also.
oh, is that
So, yeah, it was like years later. So you have to be nice to everybody because they're going to meet you back around, you know.
absolutely? All right, I'm going to put some onions in.
Yep,
Uh,
chopped onions. Now, see, they didn't have shallots back then, so they did chopped onions, and it doesn't seem like a whole lot of onions. Um,
no,
Today we would add more. What I did with the recipes is I did the exact recipe of what I was given or what I knew of. And in fact, in old cookbook stores, you can find this. It's kind of difficult.
oh,
It's the Brown Derby Cookbook, and this is from 1956. And that recipe is here under the specialties of the house. And they would use just a little bit of onion, not a whole lot. And I like a little bit more onion myself, but I
yeah.
put it exactly what they said.
And I
So the
actually,
Brown Derby
the
Cookbook.
recipe you sent me was 1 tablespoon of finely chopped onion, and I think I
Not a whole lot.
not a
Is
whole
it
lot.
worth
I've
it?
got two in there, and I could have used. I would have put a half an onion in because I like it.
Yeah, we would today, but
Yeah.
maybe the stars back then were worried about their martini tasting funny, so they didn't put so many in.
All right. If I flip this around, you'll see that it is
Yeah, that looks good.
browning really, really nicely. I'm going to turn the heat down. What goes in next?
Oh, next year. Okay, we've got now what I have is heavy cream and was in the recipe. And I've done everything from
Do you want
heavy
the
cream to
paprika
half
in
and half.
next or the cream?
You can sprinkle the paprika on top.
Okay.
And it says blend well. You kind of mix it around. It's not easy to blend the paprika, but this is called paprika chicken, and we put about a teaspoon in. I think you put more than that, but that's
Okay.
okay. You're eating this. I'm not for dinner.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
Now, back in the day, they also would not use thermometers to test to see if it's 165 Fahrenheit, which I still do, but they wouldn't really test the chicken. They didn't worry about the internal temperature like we do today. That
Got it.
was another thing they didn't do.
So
But
I'm gonna put in about a half a cup of cream, and instead of cream, I put in half and half. And I used organic half and half. This one's from Clover in Sonoma, and
yeah, you're being very healthy there.
I'm yeah with the cream. By the way, the uh, paprika was also organic, and then I have some chicken broth, and I'll put that in, and I'll put about a half a cup of that in as well. And then I'm going to put in some celery salt, a celery seed, and you're going to tell us about the celery seed and celery salt.
Yeah, the celery salt that they used to use a lot of, and they really just don't anymore. So I do the same thing. You could purchase celery salt from the spice stores, but we just don't have. I noticed a lot of recipes with it when I was working on these books, and I did order some because of that. But today, I just use a little bit of celery seed in there, and I've made this dish without it, and it doesn't taste. It doesn't have um a balance to it. So now it does. So you've got that celery in there.
Yeah, I try not to use a lot of salt because I think
Yeah,
almost everything, meat and potatoes and vegetables, everything has um, has a lot of natural salt. Now, some things need
yeah,
salt to bring out the flavor, but I just I do it by my personal preference, and of course
yeah.
Carol doesn't like salt at all, so we
But
we have to
once
be
you get
very
used to not having, you get used to not having salt, and it then when something is salted a lot, you just think, boy, that's the most salty thing you've ever had.
yeah.
It's amazing. But we cover and let it simmer about 18 minutes on low fire, and then you'll test the internal temperature. This is the part that I put into the recipe because the original didn't have anything like that. At 140. Now you also, if you're
Yeah,
making this for a crowd,
my meat thermometer is outside, so we're gonna have to guess on it.
okay, and you also, if you're making this for a lot of people, which
Mhm.
when I teach a class and we'll have 24 people, we'll have 24 pieces of thighs or chicken breasts or something. I'll do it to this point and then put the whole thing in the oven at 400 degrees. And it takes about 20 minutes and then it's all done. So you can do
Got,
it that way too.
got it.
You can do it both
That's
ways.
a good idea. Um,
Yeah.
let's talk about some of the other restaurants. I remember going to the Tic Tok, um,
Mm-hmm.
and as a
Yeah.
kid, with my aunt, the same aunt who lived on Hollywood Boulevard, and one of the things that they had on the menu that I always wanted was Welsh rarebit. Now, as a kid, I thought it meant it was a rabbit from
Yeah.
England,
Yeah.
and I wanted to order it. And my aunt would let me order anything but that, right?
In fact, the only place today where you could probably get that, in fact, I saw it on the menu in Pittsburgh the other night, come to think of it, as an appetizer, but you can get it at Musso and Frank's. They have it there
It's on
on
our
the.
list. We haven't been there in a couple of years, and
Hmm.
we think about going, and of course they're booked. And Musso and Frank is the oldest, according to them, they're the oldest restaurant in Hollywood.
Hmm. Yeah, there's the Tam O'Shanter is the oldest single family owned restaurant, continuing since 1922. And Musa and Frank's is the oldest restaurant. So everybody tries to do a little spiel on, okay, I'm the oldest one on this street, type of thing.
Right.
But both of those are exceptional restaurants, and they both are in my book. Musa and Frank's, here's a secret about Musa and Frank's, and they just hate it when I tell people this. Always tell them it's your birthday because they have a dessert that you cannot buy. They will not sell it to you. You only can have it if it's your birthday. So you lie and you tell it's your birthday. Because I'm fine with buying it, but it's a chocolate fudge, uh, hot, gooey, brownie-ish type of dessert with ice cream on top. And I always
Is
do the
that,
ice cream separate because the ice
ooh,
cream melts too fast. But always tell them it's your birthday. And if it really is your birthday and you let them know ahead of time. When you get your menu there, because they have a menu every day, I should have pulled my menu. It says happy birthday to you, to George. And then on the other side, it
oh,
has the date and
hey, maybe
everything.
we'll go for my
So,
birthday.
so yeah, you should. But go on your birthday to get the menu to say that. Arrive. Oh, and the other secret is if there's only two of you and you aren't a regular, they're going to put you in those skinny little booths that are for skinny little people, and I hate those. So what you do is you always say there's three. You sit down and you say, "Oh, the third person couldn't make it," and then they'll put you at the nice place.
I remember eating at a couple of other places. I mean, one is Pink's, which is a hot dog stand,
Hmm.
right?
Yep.
Still in operation. Um,
Yep.
and then, do you remember the Hungry Tiger?
I remember the signage. I never ate there though.
I ate there once because I was in college and I had a date and I said, I'm going to take you to this very exclusive restaurant. And it was very pricey. And so I never went back. But their signature dish was lobster. And I think it was before the palm hit Los Angeles,
Mm. Hmm.
and which is a shame that that moved recently within the last few years. It was on Santa Monica Boulevard, and
Right.
right,
Yeah. Yeah. It was
yeah,
over there by Dantana's.
yes, exactly.
Hmm.
They had a salad there, um, tomato and onion and blue cheese. It was fabulous.
Mm. Yeah,
Uh,
I liked when you went there, the waiter would say, "What do you want to eat?" To where they didn't really have a menu
yes,
because what do you want? You want a green salad or do you want a steak or what kind of steak? And you kind of asked what you wanted, and I think they would run out to the local Safeway that was around the corner that's now Vons and pick up whatever they didn't have because they always had anything you asked for.
I asked for elephant ears once.
Oh,
They were out. They were out.
oh,
It wasn't the
shoot.
elephant ears that they were out of. It was the ketchup that I wanted to go on.
Oh, it's
Uh,
always the ketchup. Yeah,
Always the
yeah,
ketchup. I'm going to take this off.
yeah.
I may
How
have
are
to.
you doing? Oh, it's looking good.
I'm going to turn it down.
Yeah, and turn over the meat also just to yeah. Now what's crazy about this, and I notice this when I do it too, you get that flour browning, and now it doesn't even seem like there's any crust to it at all.
Right.
Um, but that's how it was. So I really wish I could question the chefs that were at these places when they created these recipes.
Well, maybe you could have a
And
seance at the Magic Castle just down the street.
yeah, there you go.
Should I cover this again, George?
Yeah, I would cover it, and and you don't have a thermometer to test it, so you're going to have to take uh, a little knife and look in to make sure it's not pink anymore.
Is there a knife, thermometer?
There used to be, yeah.
Yeah.
It's got a
Oh,
flat.
I remember now. That's a soup one. I have a meat one. You're right. Here it is. Carol is right.
Carol is always right, huh?
Yes.
I love George.
I knew she would. She's always right.
So
Uh,
I've got this meat thermometer, and let's see where we're at. I'm going to put it into the breast. We haven't used it in so long. I'm hoping the battery
I
is.
know what you mean.
Nope, I'm going to have to cut into it.
Yeah, take take and cut into it and check it. We don't want you or Carol to
Expired.
be on the floor.
No, no, and I'm a big baby, George. Getting sick is not my idea. So, and one of the things when we served this, I guess it was served with either rice or a thick noodle, and that's how we'll eat it as well. Um, Melissa's given us some baby butter lettuce, and I'm going to make a salad with that with a tarragon dressing because I think it'll go very well with the chicken. I'm gonna. It's almost done, George.
Yep. Yeah, chicken doesn't take a whole lot of time, when it doesn't have all the bones in it and stuff. During COVID, I was the week that it happened, I was in Northern California and I came home because our classes stopped. And so I thought, oh, they said it would be 2 weeks that we would be having a
Yeah,
little problem. And I got to the grocery store and there was nothing there. And I thought, okay, something's wrong. I mean, at that point, and we didn't have to wear a mask at that point yet. And there was ribs and whole chickens in the meat department, and they said limit two. So I took one of each, and I asked the butcher, I said, "You don't have any other meat?" And he says, "Nope, this is it, and it might be it for a while." And my freezer was empty because I like to cook and eat and shop for every day almost. I like to shop
Yeah.
like the Europeans do.
Yes.
And so I went ahead and I said, "Why do you have so many, chickens?" He says, "Nobody knows how to cook a full chicken. That's why they aren't buying them." So because of that, for over 145 days, every day at 6:30, I did a cooking show and did about three recipes on each one and filmed it here at the house. And they're all on YouTube, so you can find them there. But teaching you how to do all sorts of different things like that.
Well, I've got the chicken right here. I'm gonna. You can see that, and over here, I'm letting the sauce uh, reduce a little bit.
Yeah, it can reduce a little bit, and what I do because well we don't it's not in the recipe because the sauce you can do anything you want, but I like to take a little bit of fresh herbs from Melissa's myself and just do some tarragon, anything like that, chop that really fine in there so you have a little bit of color to it because it looks a little blah. The chicken is blah looking,
Yes.
the noodles are blah looking, and the sauce is blah looking even though it tastes really good. So I add some fresh herbs sometimes, or uh, chop up some basil, something
Ooh.
like that that works really well.
Well, I'm going to taste it right now, George. The chicken is cooked through.
And if not, you're going to hit your head on the counter. So
Yes. Here we go.
should be nice and moist.
Oh, this is really, really good. Carol is going to love this if I don't eat it up first. Oh, one more taste, George.
Uh-oh, there goes dinner.
There goes dinner. I love the idea of the fresh herbs. They didn't use a lot of fresh herbs back then, did they?
No, in fact, fresh herbs have only been really popular. Melissa's is one reason why.
Yeah.
Um, the grocery stores, nobody had fresh herbs. We didn't cook that way. We used dry herbs and just a little bit. Our flavor palettes have changed in the past, I would say 10 years at least. Years back, when I was with Driscoll, I did an event and was lucky enough and fascinating to speak with the produce buyer for the Cheesecake Factory.
Mm.
And at that point, he had about 25 locations. And we were talking, and he said that they hired, and I put this in my most recent book. One man worked as he was the herb guy, and he lived in California. He'd go down to the produce market downtown LA, pick up the herbs for all 25 locations, and FedEx them so they would have fresh herbs on all of the pastas and things like that. He would package them all.
Wow.
Every morning he'd go down and do that, and that was his whole job, is shipping herbs. So when I was working on this last book and the Cheesecake Factory is in it, I said, "Do you still have the herb guy?" And the media people, "How do you know about that?" And I said, "I listened. It was 10 years ago when they told me, but they don't have the herb guy anymore because you can get fresh herbs in Iowa now where you didn't be able to."
That
And
is,
it's companies like Melissa's that have been able to outreach around the country, and
well,
you'd be able to get these things.
let me show you our Melissa can. We have to, we'll go to the Melissa can.
Oh, do you have some stuff over there?
Yeah. Did it go away? No, that's not it. All right. Melissa can went away, but you can see all of these.
Well, yeah.
All right. We've got uh, heavenly Marzino uh,
Oh,
tomato.
tomatoes.
I've got some tomatoes here, some avocados, several kinds of onions, garlic, and ginger, which is all FedEx to me uh,
Yeah.
from Melissa's, and we appreciate that. George, I'm going to put you on the spot. Will you come back?
No.
Well, you put me on the spot.
How about I will, but how about I come and we both cook together too?
Oh, I'd
Then I
love
don't
that.
have to be at my kitchen, you know?
Yeah. All right.
Because I feel funny. I didn't even have an apron on and I didn't get dirty.
Isn't it? Isn't it? It's we do this because the idea is that this was such an easy dish to make, and that somebody who's say single or a couple who haven't cooked, their idea of takeout cooking is takeout. And
Hmm.
Should
ooh,
that be off now?
I got to.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's about ready.
It's
Yeah.
it's thickening
And
up.
the other thing is the cost of takeout is so expensive.
Oh
It's
yeah.
just outrageous. Even, I mean, fast food, you go through a drive-through and get something, the simplest things, and you're way over $20 now.
Well, I don't know how
And
a family of four can go to say McDonald's. Not healthy, we know that.
well,
But
yeah, but
if
using that as a reference.
yeah, it's $80, $90. It's
Hmm.
it's a lot of money. Well, I'm assuming you will come back, and we will do it
Yeah.
together, and I look forward to that. George, hold on, okay, just for a second.
All right.
We wrap up our show. I want to tell you what we're going to do next week. Uh, Faye Levy will be here. She's written something like I think 20 books, 20 cookbooks. George, wait, bring George back. Bring George back. George, you've written 12? Yeah, there you are.
16 and I'm working on 17.
17 cookbooks. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
And
And I'm known, wait, one last thing before I leave. I'm known for cheesecakes because I did all of them on the show Golden Girls, if you remember
oh,
that
wow.
show.
Yeah.
So I worked on that show.
Well, maybe we'll do a cheesecake.
Well, I think we should.
All right. I look forward to it.
Thanks a lot.
Do you know Faye? You know Faye. Do you know Faye Levy?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Right?
yeah.
She's done,
Yeah.
I don't know, 20 cookbooks or more. It's
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
but you're right. You're right there with her. That's, which is
Yeah.
good.
I think she started doing cookbooks probably 20 years before I did. You know,
Yeah, I think
she
so.
she was like 12 years old when she started.
She, yeah, or nine. Anyway, George,
Yeah.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Faye Levy will be here next week in a pre-recorded show. We're going to be making a savage. That's an Israeli sandwich. We'll see you next time. Have a great week, everybody. Bye bye. Gary Allen, thanks a lot.